Hey fans, we've got a Major League Rugby Championship pregame show for the ages live on Saturday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon. For those in Rhode Island, get to the MLR Fan Festival and join the audience at the Guild in Pawtucket. If you can't be with us, watch us live across MLR YouTube, the Rugby Network, TRN TikTok, TRN X, and TRN Facebook. Keep an eye out for live updates across TRN and MLR Instagram. I'll be joining the fun alongside my pals from the Rugby Rundown, Alex Corbicero and Will Hooley. We'll have some very special guests from Super Bowl champions to rugby CEOs to USA Rugby Hall of Famers to rugby media greats. It's the real deal. It's the majors, baby. Join us. Next on Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly, Johan Momsen of the Houston SaberCats, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News, Wendy Young of Your Scrumhalf Connection, and the best dang recap in rugby. Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, New York City, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle.
There is a massive responsibility on the 23 that are privileged enough to step out on that field today.
Let's get it started with rugby's best recap. With Utah's majestic mountains as a backdrop, the Western Conference Final pitted the high-flying and explosively prolific offensive-minded Warriors versus the stubborn, rugged, and beaten-up SaberCats. Houston can't win without their playmakers Kotza and Wild, they said. Houston was playing on 4 days rest after an active nature and couldn't win, they said. Houston was playing on the road in the high altitude with little time to regroup and will wither in the gusting winds, they said. Well, they were wrong. The pouncing SaberCats took it to the Utah Warriors, stunning everybody but the Cats themselves in an emphatic, statement-making win. Oh, and that 19-year-old Seth Smith got another try. Final score, 33-19 Cats. Some good old-fashioned NFC smash-mouth football was on the docket in Quincy, Massachusetts, and the Chicago Hounds were doing most of the smashing on their way to a 17-0 lead. And it could have been much worse had it not been for the play of the century by Paulo Balacana as he ran down Bryce Campbell and slapped the ball away in the try-zone, sending the stadium into a much-needed frenzy. And the two-time reigning champions fought all the way back in the second half, yet still had to bite their fingernails to the quick as Chris Hilsenbach lined up for the kick that nobody saw. Technical difficulties aside, the kick hit the uprights at death, killing the Hounds' hopes and sending the Free Jacks to the final in their Rhode Island backyard. Final score, 21-20, Free Jacks. And we need a break. Why not take a coffee break with Rugby Morning's John Fitzpatrick, calling in from D.C. or L.A., John?
St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. Okay.
Go Cards.
Fantastic. Go Cards. And speaking of cards, what do you got for us first?
Yeah, should we say card or no card, Matt? Where do you want to begin with that one?
Are we talking Houston versus Utah or Chicago versus New England?
I'm going to go Chicago, New England. How about your boy Dylan Fawcett taking a cheap shot, some might say, to the head in the opening moments of that match? Nothing there. Matt, what's that all about?
I think that was a bad non-call. It had the announcers in the booth, Petrie and Hooley and Holden, all saying that it should have been something or reviewed, and it wasn't. And it was a message being sent from New England, absolutely. And I think it should have been a penalty. I mean, I think it should have been a card, actually. And then in the Utah versus Houston match, Drake Davis just goes in and destroys the ball carrier from Utah and doesn't get anything.
Yeah, football tackle.
It wasn't a football tackle. Yeah, okay, all right, it was a football tackle. He didn't wrap. He ran into him and he smashed him with his head into the guy's head. And Derek Summers reviewed it and said nothing. Oh, no, that's okay. He wrapped. He didn't wrap. What were you watching? That was a pivotal moment in that match, and in a very heated environment. And that's when the TMO is supposed to work, and it failed miserably. That's just my 2 cents. Next.
Ooh, strong words, Matt. How do we recover from that? Why don't we just move on and talk? Okay, how about we do that? Yeah. Hey, how about the Major League Rugby Players Association? They unanimously elected a new executive director. Probably a great steward of American rugby here. If you want to talk about the domestic pathway, it's Chris Mattina, Xavier, Delaware, USA 7s, USA 15s, 4 Major League Rugby squads, now the executive director of the MLRPA, and probably will lead the organization through a potential CBA, collective bargaining agreement with Major League Rugby. Matt, what do you make of that news?
I think it's great. Chris Mattina is a guy that was on the pitch. Nothing rattled him, always remained calm, off the pitch the same way, dealing with the personalities and the potential conflicts. He's a good guy for that. And he's also, as you said, that pathway. And he's a true blue New York City guy, grew up on the Upper West Side where I live, God's country. And he went to, as you said, Xavier, Delaware, the Eagles, MLR, much like Mike Petrie, just Mike was in Brooklyn. But they were fellow Xavier guys. Different times. Next.
Hey, Matt, are you going to be packing the SPF 1000 for your forehead? Because I'm pretty sure you're going to be on the ground in Pawtucket, Rhode Island for the MLR Championship weekend, will you not?
I will be. And we got 2 different events, and this is all produced by the league and with Will Hooley and Alex Corbacero being the driving forces. The Friday night Q&A at the Guild, which is a very cool venue, a brewery, just minutes from the stadium. And then back there again for the live pregame, 11 a.m. to noon on Saturday, Eastern time. And check out all the different social media channels. It'll be on that, but also on the rugbynetwork.com. So easy to find, and you'll see the graphic. But I am very happy to be part of this. I'm going to save my forehead for advertising. And I'll be the in-stadium PA guy. So big weekend, lots of stuff. Anything else?
No, man, I'm just excited. It's been one hell of a season in Major League Rugby. If you're in a Major League Rugby executive, you have to be thrilled with how the action went down on the field. And sure enough, in a brand new venue, I'm looking forward to hopefully a record attendance, given the fact that MLR made sure the New England Free Jacks were there. So it should be packed house.
All right. Well, okay. You mean it's right up there with the Mavericks getting the number 1 pick in the lottery and the Islanders because they didn't have the All-Star game at Nassau Coliseum / whatever.
Oh, you should know this. Yeah, Patrick Ewing and the Knicks and David Stern. Yeah, you know all about this.
I know all about it. I know about it. Yeah, it's all fixed. Everything's fixed. Yeah. Let's go toke a little on your vapor thing out in L.A. and come up with some more conspiracies. On that note, we're out of time. Thank you. We'll be right back with Johan Momsen of the Houston SaberCats after this.
Digs like a demented mole there.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
How you doing? I'm Jim Hamilton. I'm at the Pig and Whistle. I'm at the famous Pig and Whistle. Look, I've come, I've got my rucksack on. I'm a well-known man around the world as one of the best rugby players to have ever played the game. No, I'm not. It's a lie. But we've got Paul O'Connell's montage on the wall. I've heard a lot about this place, and I'm here. Make sure, though, that you come here, but you also tune in to Rugby Wrap-Up.
And we are back, and ladies and gentlemen, we once again have the privilege and the honor of having the man some call Mountain but should call Mozart, and that is Mr. Johan Momsen of the Houston SaberCats. Welcome back to MLR Weekly, my friend.
Hey, Matt, thank you. Thanks for having me.
When you ask someone how they are, you have to kind of make it relative. Like, had they had 87 tackles in the last 2 weeks in wins over LA and Utah, how are you with that?
Oh, no, the body is hurting, but yeah, just blessed to be here and just fighting for another week. So, yeah, recovery is vital now, but yeah, feeling great, as good as ever.
Well, you proved us so-called experts wrong. I mean, you were playing without key pieces in your lineup, key offensive players specifically, but you guys just just mauled and spanked Utah in Utah.
Yeah, we went up there, got the job done, and we're really excited for one more week.
I want to go back in time when you were with Rugby ATL, and you were in the finals versus LA, the Giltinis, who are now defunct. It's not the new franchise LA. And you lost a tough match, but you were in the final. Then this thing called the COVID is involved, and you get a new ownership thing because the owner passed away, unfortunately. And then they decide to change the branding. Looking back on that, how dumb was that?
Oh, look, we all had our own opinions on that, but yeah, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be sitting where I am now. So, I mean, life gets you get your own. Everything's got its own turns, and God has its plans, and we all end up in places we need to be. So, things turned out to bring me to Houston, and joined a new team, and we've been very successful since. And we've got to get another chance to go get that trophy this weekend. So, yeah.
You know what? I love that look at it because you spun the positive out of what I thought was one of the dopiest things I've ever seen. Why, talk about the cliche, don't fix something that ain't broke.
Yeah, we liked the black and red back then, but then we went green. So yeah,
and you basically had the Chicago Hounds
logo.
Yeah.
Well, and in our opinion, it was ours first, but
I'm dumbfounded how you guys went up there, and then especially in the second half when the altitude is supposed to hurt visiting teams and benefit the home team, you smoked them in the second half.
Yeah, like I said, I think we've been to dark places and heat. And altitude is just another little hurdle to get over. So I think at some point we were defending our own line for 12 minutes in a row, and someone looked at me in the team and they said, "We're going to be here all game." And I said, "Then we'll be here all game. Something will happen. We're just going to have to defend and defend." And that's exactly what we did. And I mean, just 2 turnovers and tries from that, and that was the game. So yeah, look, we pride ourselves on our defense, and that's at the end of the day what does win championships. And I think the last 2 games we've shown what we can do. So for us as a team, it's a lot of confidence going to this final game. So.
Well, you got some big units in that lineup, including Marno Redling-Heiss, as we mentioned, and Nathan Den Hoot. He's been excellent for you guys. But you also got some nice developing younger players like Emmanuel Albert, who was a draft choice. How cool is it seeing his evolution?
Yeah, no, man. Eman has grown so much this year and last year since I've got here and seen him play. He's especially gotten a lot of confidence going into this year, and he's just been tearing it up.
Well, you and the names I mentioned earlier, Nathan and Marno, are just great influences and somebody that these guys can model themselves after, with your professionalism, which is great. And with that, I wanted to ask you, what's your take on the whole Anthem concept?
I kind of enjoy the Anthem.
You enjoy it because you go in and get a win.
No. Look, they always beat us both times.
Almost doesn't count.
No, I think it's a good idea. I think from what I've heard is they cleaned house and they really know who they want there next year. And as far as I understand, they're probably going to get a couple of senior guys to lead it through. But I think there's definitely some benefit in it going forward. If you look at it like a Jaguares kind of thing when they were part of the Super Rugby or even the Sunwolves, where they had the bulk of the USA or let's say Japan or Argentina side, and they trained together, they played together. That's really where Argentina started really becoming very competitive in international rugby. And I think if they can get that right, maybe sign a couple more seniors, USA players into that squad. Help the younger guys grow. But I think there's a lot of talent there. Looks like a guy like Junior Gaffa, he gives every single team so much trouble. And having a guy like Sam Golla there now, it definitely there's benefit to it. So I think if they can get it right, it'll definitely they can get something from it.
They'll beat the Springboks.
Won't beat the Springboks. I don't know.
I'm getting a little ahead. Maybe like 2090.
Give it some time.
So before I let you go, let's talk about the final. How do you think you guys match up? What style wise?
Style-wise, I think both of us, both the teams rely heavily on their kicking game, territorial battles, aerial battles. I think that's going to be really interesting to see. And I think New England is really good at that. And when they do get the turnover, they're really good at pouncing on that. So physically, I think they can match us. I think that's what they're going to have to try and do. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting game. I think both teams are good at set piece, and the kicking game, the territorial battle will be good. There's going to be some good defensive battles and some good attacking rugby. So I think it'll be a really good final to watch.
I think you guys are playing pressure-free. They're trying to do the three-peat thing. And, again, us so-called experts ruled you out. You were supposed to lose to Utah by 20 points. So we don't know our ass from our elbow. But, this is going to be an exciting final. I think it's going to be great for the league. But before I let you go, 2 final questions. Number 1, what's next year? Are you signed? Are you looking? Are you retiring? Are you going forward? What's the deal? Do you know?
I cannot. I'm not 100% sure of what yet. My wife is expecting a child, so I don't know what is next. It might be rugby. It might not be rugby. And if it's rugby, I cannot tell you where yet. So
if it's not rugby, what will it be?
That is also a question that I don't have an answer to yet.
I have an answer. And
you have an answer.
And it winds this up perfectly. Because you're from a musical family and you're known to sing, maybe you could make some money as a busker or whatever.
You got some contacts on Broadway.
You're going to have to audition right here and now. Give me a couple of tunes.
I don't know about that. No, the pressure's too much.
Oh, come on. Pressure for you? You just won in Utah.
Yeah, but that's playing rugby. That's my first talent.
Well, I'll be in town on working, so I'll see you this weekend, and maybe we'll get you to sing a song there when there's a little less pressure.
All right. Well, we can do that.
All right, Mr. Johan Mozart Momsen of the Houston SaberCats, thank you for coming on.
All right, man. Thank you.
We'll be right back with Wendy Young of your Scrumhalf Connection after this. And now, your Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network. This one is right up there with the best plays ever in any sport. Bryce Campbell of the Chicago Hounds picked off a pass and had nothing but green in front of him, and there was no way he wasn't going to score. But cut to Paulo Balacana, who was shot out of a cannon and not only caught Campbell, but knocked the ball loose in the try zone, preventing a huge score in what would turn out to be a 1-point victory for the reigning champs. And that is your Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. Here's your TRO, the Rugby Odds MLR Picks of the Week via WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield, legendary USA Olympic Sevens coach Mike Friday, and King Gipte Belu, inventor of words.
Give me Houston to not only cover but win.
I look at Houston to be able to cover this game and to win. New England has had a great track this playoffs and the end of the season, but I don't see them going back-to-back years championships.
And my boy Jed Melvin, his boys are going to win, and they'll cover, and they'll do the three-peat.
And hey, be sure to check out the Rugby Odds, the critically acclaimed sports entertainment show featuring big-name talent, exclusive highlights, insightful opinions, and irreverent, if not downright naughty, behavior. And we're back, and we're fortunate to be welcoming back again Wendy Young of your Scrumhalf Connection with some WER updates. Wendy, first off, welcome back.
Thanks for having me again. It's nice to be on 2 weeks in a row.
So I think that's a record.
It is.
And most people don't like coming on 2 weeks in a row, so thank you for doing that. All right, so silliness aside, what do you got for us?
Yeah, it's really exciting. The WER Legacy Cup, it marks the end of the WER inaugural season. So they've done 13 weeks of action. All the teams have played all their matches. Everything's happened. And now we're ready to just crown the first champion. Of course, we had the Legacy Cup, the WPL Legacy Cup last year, and now this is the first time it's professional. Sunday, June 29th, TCO Stadium in Eagan, Minnesota. Really cool. We're at the Vikings Training Center. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. Central. And, just really excited. There's a youth clinic the day before on Saturday that is free for any youth kids that want to come out and try rugby. There's also a chance if you, when you register for that event, you can become a player pal. So you'll essentially get to hang out with the players, which is cool. And, and when we look at these teams, like I talked about last week, Denver dominated, right? They did so good the whole season. They have the most Eagles of anybody. And if those Eagles choose to play, because they're in that window right now where they don't have a camp, they could come back to the WER if they wanted to. Some have gone back to England to get ready for the PWR. So we don't know who's going to play. We don't have the rosters yet. So we're expecting to see those rosters soon. Super excited about that. But we don't know how many Eagles are going to be on the team for Denver. When you look at just how many they could have on the team and how many international players they have, 12 is how many they have. They have 10 Eagles, 1 Canadian, and Nick Coffey, 1 Mexican player as well. To New York's 4, right? And they've got 1 USA player, 1 Samoan, 1 Dominican Republic, and 1 from Mexico as well. So it's a huge disparity there. And when you look at the capped players for New York, just internationally, only a couple caps each, right? So when you look at some of the capped players on the Denver side, 50 caps, 40 caps, right? A lot of players with lots of large caps. So a big, interesting kind of flip there.
So are we rethinking our picks that we picked last week?
No, I'm going to stay with New York, right? I mean, that's some clickbait rage for you too, is there, right? I really think New York, they're really gritty, right? Their style of play, they're disruptive. They really thrive on momentum, and they love to almost honestly wait till the last minute. I wish they weren't that type of team, but they're known for late game surges, and they love to capitalize on an error. Oh, man. Denver's not going to make a lot of errors, but if they can get the ball and get it on a counterattack, they're really good in that frame.
You're guilting me now to stay with my pick, so I'm going to stay with my pick, my New York family. As you said, we don't know the rosters. We have a ballpark on what we think the rosters will be. What would you say the distinctive style of play is for each team?
Yeah, Denver's very structured, and they will sometimes get out of their attack frame, if you want to call it that, but they're really like to stay within that. They'll use their forwards to make space, and then they've got extremely fast outside backs, and they want to get the ball to them. They've also got several really good kickers. So if we see Mackenzie Hawkins, we know she's a great kicker. We might see Kristen Bitter. We've seen a couple fly halves for Denver, so we're not sure who's going to be there, but they all love to kick and put that pressure back on New York. But I think their biggest attribute is they're just composed under pressure. They just never crack until that New York game in round 11 where they lost. They just don't crack.
Without the pressure. Eagles.
Of course, right? Caveat, a lot of Eagles were missing getting ready for those Pac-4 games. New York, super gritty, right? Like they just like to get in it and get messy, and they'll stick in it. And a lot of their games, they had late game surges, right? So they left it to the last second and then scored 2-3 tries and won the game and won by a couple of points. I don't think that's how they want to play. I think that's just how they've kind of grown the season. And so I'm hopeful that we'll see a quick starting New York side that'll kind of try to get Denver on their back heels, and then they can try to go from there. They also really love a counterattack. They love to have, a turnover happen and just go quickly and make stuff happen from that. So they're going to try to make Denver make mistakes and then capitalize on them.
All right, there you have it. Wendy Young of your Scrumhalf Connection with some gems on the upcoming WER Legacy Cup. Thank you, Wendy.
Of course, happy to be on.
And we're back, and once again, we have the honor of welcoming in the esteemed Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News /Ray's Rugby. Bryan, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well, Matt. I'm doing well. What an eventful weekend, you'd have to say.
Yeah, we can't not talk about what we didn't see for the first time. That's the approach here. What we didn't see was the attempt at a game-winning championship berth kick in the 80th minute in the red in New England versus Chicago up in Quincy.
Yeah, probably the only person, who's pleased about that situation is Chris Hilsenbeck, so he doesn't have to rewatch it. But everybody else completely. Can you imagine if he makes that, a career-defining kick kind of thing like that, and it's not on camera? I mean,
well,
it's
on camera. They have other angles now that have come out, or at least the one handheld I think came out, and it shows the kick. But this was long after the damage was done, when the feed went dead, in case you didn't know this, ladies and gentlemen, on the attempt at winning the match at death, and we didn't see it. And the announcers didn't know what was going on either, because they're not at the ground. Which, again, I keep saying, if the announcers are at the ground, they can continue with the audio call of the match. Anything else you want to add to that?
What is there to be said? Really, at this point, I don't think it's a question of what happened. I think that's irrelevant. We've seen a number of issues with production this year, and I hope that the league sits back and does a comprehensive review of the whole, broadcast, process that they have from top to bottom. Look at the commentary, how they do that. Look at the on-screen graphics. Can that be, improved upon? I mean, they still haven't. We're now 8th season. They still haven't figured out how to stop the clock properly when the ref says time off.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of room for improvement. Clearly, they've cut some redundancies, out of that system to kind of save some money. Is it worth it, considering the moment that you just lost in front of everybody? I'm not. I wonder what the cost of that is. So I just think the whole thing needs to be reviewed.
All right. So you got your SaberCats hat on, but you got Warner and Balacana behind you. Who are you going with?
Well, I mean,
5.5 point spread, by the way.
Who you calling the favorite?
New England.
Yeah.
Well, it's a home game.
Yeah. I mean, this is an hour's drive from their home base on a bus. So New England couldn't have asked for a better scenario here. I think they probably are happier to play Houston than Utah, to be honest. It's going to be another big ask for Houston. Even though they get the full week, those legs are going to be tired from that short turnaround that they had. They're just a different team, where Chicago really attacked that breakdown with guys like Jones and Rumble. Really the jackler on Houston's team is Anayasu, and he, they kind of prefer more to kind of go for those choke tackles in defense. They like to really dominate that gain line, and they're not a rush defense either. So I think there'd be plenty of footage for New England to look at and work out where the holes are. And I just think that championship experience that they have, and that outstanding back row that they have is just, they're so aggressive, both on attack and in defense. I think that's a real edge for them. But I think New England wins this one, and probably by, at least one score, 7 to 10 points, I think.
And on that note, Brian, we're out of time, but I want to thank Mr. Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, Wendy Young of Your Scrumhalf Connection, and Johan Momsen, the number 7 of Houston. And thank you for tuning in. Please check out the Rugby Odds. It's fun. You'll like it. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Sign up for our weekly newsletter. And please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.